Kingdom family, what's up, everybody? I'm so excited and so honored to be with you all today. We have a very special session today, and for those of you who are here for the very first time, this is the Kingdom. It's kind of like spiritual church for everybody. I say it's like church, Super Soul Sunday, and a TED Talk having a baby. And today, our main focus is on the power of your shadow. The power of your shadow and what might be holding you back that's hidden in your life that you can't see. What might be making the choices for you in your life that you don't even recognize, that are out of alignment with the vision that you have for your life. Today, we're gonna unpack this. You're gonna get to learn what's inside of your shadow and how you can start making a difference today to start living a life that's more in alignment and in integrity with what it is that you really want and desire in your life. For those of you who are new to the Kingdom, welcome. My name's Justin Michael Williams, and I would love for you to type into the chat box. Hello, everybody. I see you. Hi, Cheryl, Magdalena, Donna, Sandy. So if you're brand new to the Kingdom, make sure you type in the words first time into the chat box so that our entire community can welcome you here. And I'd love for everybody to type into the chat box where you're coming in from today so that we know where you're from. And in the meantime, in every single session of the Kingdom, we begin with a poem or some form of art, music, or song, and I have a very special song for you all today. And then we do a prayer, and I'll kind of bring through or channel a prayer, and then I'll give about 60 seconds of silence for you to welcome in your own personal prayer, whether that's a religious prayer or just setting an intention for yourself. And I have a vision of all of us being together one day in person and like being in a big hall and having all of our prayers and all of our different languages and all of our traditions coming together in some way. And then we dig into a teaching, sometimes by me, sometimes by a special guest, a practice, a golden nugget, and an action to take this into your life. Because one of the things I always loved about church when I was younger was the inspiration that comes from it, but then you get back in the car and you're a hot mess again. And so how do we bring this action into our lives? And so, hello, Glenn. Hello, Thomas. Hello from Florida, Jacksonville, Florida, Atlanta, Georgia, Eugene, Oregon, San Diego, Philly, Santa Cruz, Omaha, Florida, Detroit. What's up? Kalani, first time from Baltimore, Maryland. Welcome. Tennessee, all over the world. We're coming in from Canada. Welcome, 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 welcome. All right, everybody. So a quick announcement before...
Could you say that again?
Oh, Siri's being nosy today. So a quick announcement before we actually begin our session is what many of you need to know is that in our community, the Kingdom happens every 2 weeks, okay? So the Kingdom is every other Sunday. But in between, every Wednesday, we have Soul Study, which is a time for you to come together. You can think of it like Bible study with no Bible, right? And so we break down the lessons of the Kingdom on Zoom, where you get to connect with the community and feel the love and connection from this entire community. Now, if you want to join in on Soul Study, I'm putting the link in the chat box now. It's just justinmichaelwilliams.com/soulstudy. It's always free. The Kingdom is always free, and you are welcome anytime. And those are on Wednesday evenings, and you'll get all the information at that link. And those of you who've been wanting to come, you have to go there to sign up to get the reminder. And then finally, the Kingdom Choir. I know many of you have signed up already, but we're going to be expanding the Kingdom Choir and getting started with our first virtual choir rehearsals very soon. And we have a song that we wrote that's a brand new song that's going to be released on Spotify and everything with all of you involved in this. And so we're really excited about this. And so the link to the Kingdom Choir, I'm also putting in the chat box now. All right, so without further ado, I am so excited for this because normally I know I have the lyrics up on the screen for y'all, but I can't do that today because of something special that's about to go down. And so we're gonna sing a song together today called Stand By Me that many of you probably know. And the reason we're singing this song today, is one of the things that we believe here at the Kingdom that we really rally around is all beliefs are welcome here, all biologies are welcome here. We believe wisdom can come from many places, and we know that this community is a place that we have been coming to for almost 3 years, y'all, to come back to again and again and again to remember the truth of who we are. And I have some special people here that I'll introduce you into a minute who remind me of the truth of who I really am always, that I anchor back into. And they're gonna be singing with us. So I'm gonna go through the lyrics on the screen ahead of time, real quick, and then I'm gonna take them off. So if you need to remember it, you could also look it up, on Genius or something right now to sing along with us. So here's the lyrics if you don't know them. And I want you to feel these songs as a prayer. Feel these words as a prayer. And so it says, when the night has come and the land is dark and the moon is the only light we'll see. No, I won't be afraid. Oh, I won't be afraid. Just as long as you stand by me. So darling, darling, stand by me. Oh, stand by me. Oh, stand by me. And then the second line, second verse is, if the sky that we look upon should tumble and fall, or the mountain should crumble to the sea, I won't cry. I won't cry. No, I won't shed a tear, even though we like crying here at the Kingdom. Just as long as you stand by me. And then it goes again with this kind of plea and this calling and also this gratitude. You kind of feel the repeat in the chorus of, so darling, darling, stand by me. So there's this asking and pleading, and you can even send that to the divine if you want. And there's also this celebration of, oh, stand by me. You're standing by me. You know, and so we feel that support of this amazing community, and we feel the support of one another and of the divine, and all of this coming in together from all over the world. All of you from all over the world. And this is the world that I know we all know we can live in together. So, all of that being said, hello from London, Jennifer. Oh, I see all of you. Amazing. So, here we go. I'm going to do something that y'all have never seen me do on the Kingdom before. I'm going to turn this around. And there are some very special people waiting on the other side for you. Hello. So, this is... Well, first of all, my guitar, like hella in the middle. And so this is everybody. I want you to say hello to, these are the Garrison Fellows, which I'm also a part of, and just give some big love to them. We do ones in the chat box here at the Kingdom too. Yeah, move back. I'm gonna end up sitting there. I'm gonna end up sitting there. Yeah, but y'all can come closer. So these are the Garrison Fellows. They're all incredible leaders and incredible teachers in the world that are artists and musicians and scientists. And we've been together for the last week at the Garrison Institute in New York State, dropping into our work and our creativity. We've been meeting for a few years together now. And for many of us, this was our first time meeting in person. And so we've been singing and dancing together. And for a lot of you, you're going to get to meet them as they come in and be guests on the Kingdom. And so thank you. Everybody's welcoming you all in. And so they are going to join us in singing Stand By Me today. So we hope you all sing from home. Yes, what a treat. I know. So, okay, y'all, we're going to have to get closer because we're so far from them. So just gather around so the microphone can hear. If you want to come in and squeeze in. All right. Can everybody be seen? Selma, you're hiding behind my big head. Come closer, come closer.
Crouch.
Yeah, come crouch around. All right. Y'all ready to sing along with us? All right. Here we go. Let me make sure this is going to be loud enough. Yeah, I think it's good. All right. Here we go. And I would need to play the right chords. Here we go. I'm just so excited.
When the night has come,
no clapping.
and the land is dark, and the moon is the only light we'll see.
Hey!
No, I won't
Feel it like a prayer.
be afraid. No, I won't shed a tear. Just as long as you stand by me.
Everybody.
So darling, darling, stand by me. Oh, stand by me. Oh, stand by me. Stand by me. If the sky,
Hey! That
Everybody, come on. I won't cry. I won't cry. No, I won't shed a tear. Just as long as you stand by me. Everybody, so darling, darling, stand by me. Oh, stand by me. Oh, stand by me. One more time, everybody, for your heart. So darling, darling, stand by me. Oh, stand by me. Oh, stand by me. Stand by me.
And just catch that in your heart. Maybe just place your hands over your heart and just catch the energy of it, the power. And take a breath in and out and just let it circulate through your body, whatever it is that you're feeling now. And just feel the power of music, whatever it is that it stir up in you, and how music connects us to our common humanity and then elevates that emotion to a place that we can all share in together. And so here we are, with music as medicine, and we're going to dive right into our prayer. And so I'll ask my Garrison Fellows to stay for the prayer and hold the space, and then they're going to leave and go back to lunch. So we'll just place our hands right over the center of our chest, Kingdom family, and just drop into that sacred space that only you know. God, Spirit, Universe, all that is, all that ever has been, and all that ever will be, by every name you go by, past, present, and future, we thank you. We thank you for bringing us together, for having us healthy enough to be here to receive and listen. Thank you for our communities that hold us and stand by us near and far. Thank you for reminding us that even in times of darkness, there is a home for us to return to. When we forget, thank you for putting people on our path who remind us to remember. May each of us hear the message that is meant for us today. May it anchor into our hearts and transform our spirits in a way that lands so deeply that we don't even have to share the words with anybody else, but the embodiment of the transformation becomes our teaching and our offering to the world. So I'm going to be silent for about 60 seconds here. And this is your moment to welcome in your own personal prayer. God, Spirit, Universe, all that is, all that ever has been, and all that ever will be, by every name you go by, we thank you. Ashe, Aho, Salam, Amen, Shalom, Awen, Satnam, Om. Thank you. So thank you all for being here. And before my fellows leave here, this is like my soul family here, y'all. Y'all are also my soul family, you know that. Kingdom family. And this is our Garrison family. I'd love for just each of you to like say your name, come over, or just go by and say your name, just so we can call you into the space and hold you in our prayers. All of these people are doing the most incredible work in the world. And so when they say their names, if you all just type their names into the chat box, so we kind of have it here, and that could just be like a prayer onto their words, and then we can all look them up as well afterwards and their amazing work that's happening into the world. So if we just go one by one, lots of you know this person. This is
Hi everyone, it's Shelly.
Shelly Tegelski, we need first and last name.
Shelly Tegelski, working with Justin on our next book together.
Yes.
Hi everybody, I'm Casey Crown.
Yay.
I'm Jennifer Bloom. I'm Nicole Chase.
I'm Andrew Villamil.
I'm Sarah King.
I'm Nico Carey. Hi.
I'm Barnaby Willett.
I'm Selma Quistmüller. You're not gonna be able to stay.
We'll get your name in there, Selma. I'll type it in.
Denmark,
I'll
yeah.
type it in.
Angel Acosta.
Yes. All right, everybody. Well, thank the Garrison Fellows for being here and singing with us. I love you all.
I love you, Justin.
Thank you. I'll see you at lunch. You got my plate? Yeah. Okay, cool. What a treat, right, everybody? So now that we're showered with all this love, we're ready to dive into the shadow. So if y'all wouldn't mind shutting the door for me, that would be wonderful. Thank you. Thank you, thank you. Yes. So here we are. And I promised I would put Selma's name into the chat box. So let me get Selma's name in here for you all. I actually always forget how to spell it. So give me 1 second. Let's see. Selma. I have to do that so y'all can look her up. She does really amazing work on what's called post-traumatic growth, which we're going to be for sure having Selma in on the Kingdom as well. So we're in for a really big treat with her. So here we go. I just want you to be able to look up her work. This is Selma's name that I'm putting in the chat box now. All right, everybody. So, excuse me, I have a little cough, so you'll have to excuse me as I cough a few times throughout, but I should make it through. So, here we are standing by each other, and today we are diving deep in the Kingdom to the power of, come on, hold on, this thing is being Mercury retrograde on me. Hold on 1 second, friends. All right, I think that should be all right. So we are diving in now very deeply to understand the power of our shadow. Okay, the power of our shadow. And I'm gonna dig into this to help you understand more deeply and in a really clear way what is the shadow, okay? And how you use this to actually change your life and make an impact on your life and also in the world, okay? So let me get this music to turn down for a second just so I can get really clear with you all here. All right. So here's the deal, friends, right? Transformation. This is what I call the transformation equation. And I'm going to be doing an event in June that breaks this down all the way, okay, in a really big way. And you'll be hearing about that next week. And a virtual event in June that talks about all of these elements. But today we're focusing on one element. And I want you all to type this in, right? And I'm asking you to type this in so you remember it. And also, when you see a bunch of ones in the chat box, that's kind of like what we do in the Kingdom. When you hear me say something that makes you go like, amen, or makes you want to clap your hands or do whatever, you put a bunch of ones in the chat box. So Kingdom family, this is where you can make some noise and put some ones in the chat box, and you'll see how that affects the energy exchange. So the transformational equation is 1/3 light work, 1/3 shadow work, and 1/3 action equals transformation. Okay? 1/3 light work, 1/3 shadow work, 1/3 action equals transformation. And most of us lean into one part of this equation more than another. Okay, so some of us, we lean into the light work, and I'll define this for you. So light work is all the things that we're used to when you think about building your spiritual practice or your personal growth practice. So light work is meditating, thinking positive, listening to podcasts, reading all the books, doing all these different things that we do, exercising, keeping our mind right, staying motivated, right? And these things are incredibly important, but they're only a part of the equation, all right? And then I'm gonna skip over shadow work because we're gonna focus on that today. And then action is another easy one that a lot of us dig into, or maybe it's not easy for everybody, but a lot of us do, which is well, something's going on, what do I do about it? What am I gonna do? And we're the people who are always busy, who see a problem and immediately go into action to fix it, right? And these things are great. And so we're the doers. We're the action people are the busy people, the doers, the people who are constantly moving. And this is great as well, okay? But even if you're doing both of those things, you're thinking positive, you're motivated, you're keeping your mind right, and you're taking action, we're still missing one of the most important parts of transformation, which is shadow work. And when you're doing just one or two of these, you're just doing light work, or you're just doing action, or at best you're doing both, what we create is change. What we create is change. And change is cool. But the issue and the difference between change and transformation is I want you to think about the difference between changing your clothes, changing where you live, changing your job, and the equivalent of a butterfly or a caterpillar going into a cocoon, becoming this imaginal cell, going into this chrysalis, and then becoming the butterfly. When that happens, when this metamorphosis happens, which is why I titled my first album Metamorphosis, when this transformation happens, you can no longer return to what was in the same way. Okay, so the caterpillar and the butterfly are now two completely different things. And even though the butterfly can go back and climb on trees and do things like the caterpillar did, it has to do it differently because it has transformed. But when we change our jobs, when we change relationships, when we change our clothes, when we change how we look, when we change our weight because we've gone on a diet, because we took action and we maybe started working out, but we didn't look at the cause of why we're having an issue with our weight or why we don't feel our body is enough in the first place, when we haven't done the shadow work, when something changes, it almost easily changes back. Or maybe if it doesn't change back, what happens is we end up recreating another version of what already existed in the first place. And this is what we see in the most individual levels in our lives, all the way to the most collective levels in the world. So we change political parties. We change, we're seeing this right now in the world. Look what's happening, right? Regardless of what your beliefs is. Look what's happening. Because we're taking action and we're changing and we're forgetting about it and trying to move past it. And then boop, laws go back and forth and change and change and change. And then it's red and then it's blue and then it's this. And at the end of the day, we're continuing to recreate the same things again and again, continuing to oppress different groups of people again and again, just looking slightly different. Okay, and so this is what happens when we're not doing the whole equation. And I've just, simplified this in the best way possible. And the reason why I make this so simple, 1/3 light work, 1/3 shadow work, 1/3 action. Excuse me, I need to take a quick sip of water. You'll have to excuse me today, y'all. Is because 1/3 light work, 1/3 shadow work, 1/3 action is because transformation is actually simple. I didn't say it's easy. Simple. But we make it complicated. We make transformation complicated because we think we have to read all these books and this podcast and do these million mantras and do this ritual and then follow this practice and go to this guru and go to this retreat. And we make it complicated because we're actually afraid of transforming. And the reason we're often afraid of transforming is because transformation requires an ending. Ending what was, not just shifting it and maybe I can go back. Like the caterpillar to the butterfly. The butterfly can't go back into the cocoon. And so even when something is harmful to us, even when a relationship is harmful to us, ending it can still be a challenge because there's a grieving process of letting go of something that we've gotten comfortable with, even when it's harmful to us. And so this is why I think we make transformation seem like it's this really complicated ass thing, because we're afraid of doing the transforming part. So we think, I got to do this mantra, this ritual, this thing, this guru, this thing, and then maybe finally I'll be ready to transform. But that's not how it works. Because the truth is, and I just want to be clear, I'm a fan of rituals. I'm a fan of all these practices, all the things that you can do to build up your power, right? All of the light work. I'm a big fan of it. I do rituals and practices often. But the rituals are not what transform you. The rituals are what prepare you to do the work in your life to choose differently so that you can actually transform. Because the transformation happens in the taking of different actions in your life and the shift that happens internally so you can change the condition and show up differently. Okay? So this is the power of our work. I don't want you all to worry about me with this cough. I'm just having a little asthma here. I've gotten tested and, all the things. So I'm having a little asthma today, so you have to excuse me. So let's talk about, for a second, let's get clear on shadow. Now that we've talked about the equation, okay? So I want to just get very clear with you all on what shadow is not. And actually, I'm going to go back. I want you all to type into the chat box right now, when I say, what is shadow? What is shadow? Type into the chat box what you think shadow is. I want to hear what you think shadow is. I'm going to give you all a moment to do that. So, all right. So here are some things shadow is not. And it's not that you're wrong, but I'm going to clarify this very clearly for everybody. So shadow is not our trauma. Shadow is not our past. Shadow is not everything we don't want to deal with. Shadow is not the hidden parts of ourselves. Shadow is not our dark side. Shadow is not victim consciousness. Shadow is not anything we hide or deny. Shadow is not bad habits. Shadow is not the ego. It's not limiting beliefs. It's not the disowned parts of ourselves. It's not what we run from. It's not negative thoughts. It's not our fears. It's not our programming. It's not our unresolved trauma. It's not what we don't want to face. And this is why I'm saying it's not, okay? I'm just doing this for you all as you're typing it all in. It's not self-sabotage. It's not the part that you don't want to bring to the light. And this is really important. This is why the reason I'm kind of doing this, okay, is because all of these things can be in your shadow. All of these things that I'm talking about, your trauma, your past, your self-sabotage, what's hiding from in the dark, your fears, your doubts, your programming from childhood, all of these things can be in your shadow, but they are not the shadow, because if they can be in the shadow, what is the shadow itself? All right, y'all see where I'm going with this here. So I'm gonna put a definition of shadow up on the screen, and I need you all to type this in so you remember it, but first take it in. Your shadow is anything in your life or in our world that we have not cast our light of awareness onto. Your shadow is anything in your life or in our world that you have not cast your light of awareness onto. Okay? And if our light of awareness is not on it, then we don't know it exists. And if we don't know it exists, then it is often controlling our lives from the background without us even knowing it. And this is why it's so important to do shadow work. So, y'all following me right now, friends? Yes, family? Okay. So, here's the deal, all right? Shadow and shadow work are not the same thing. Shadow and shadow work are not the same thing. I need y'all to really understand this, okay? And the reason for that is because all of us have a shadow. All of us, regardless of how spiritual you are, how much you work on yourself, we all have a shadow. And that doesn't mean that you choose to work on it, or rather, to work with it is the key. So we all have a shadow. But that doesn't mean that we all make the conscious choice to work with our shadow. And so your shadow is this part of your life that you have not cast light of awareness onto. And one of my favorite teachers, Sienna Sherman, she said this quote that got me into shadow work. She said, the bigger the light, the bigger the shadow it casts. And so those of us who are really good at doing the personal growth work, we have a big shadow. Because the bigger the light, the bigger the shadow. Okay? And so what you have to remember, to be very clearly, is shadow work is making the conscious choice to lean into your shadow and to learn what it's there to teach you. All right? So doing shadow work, I want to say this. If we're not doing, I'll explain it this way first. Okay, let me go. I'm trying to get ahead of myself a little bit. So the most important thing for you to remember is that your shadow is not bad. It's not a bad thing, okay? People think of, oh, my shadow, it's going to be this bad work. It's this hard work. It's this traumatizing work. And sometimes trauma does come up in there. But your shadow is not bad. We have to stop pathologizing darkness. We have to stop demonizing darkness. This is a part of originally where some of this black and white and dark and light stuff comes from in the first place. Seeds grow in the dark. So do you. This is by Robert Augustus Masters, who's my shadow work teacher. And I'm going to give you some references, some books and some references and some things on shadow work for those of you who want to dive deeper at the end of this. So don't worry, I got you covered if you start wondering how to dive deeper. But we're going to do a lot today in this session. So seeds grow in the dark, so do you. The shadow is the womb. The shadow is the place that you come to unlock your greatest gifts. And so this may surprise you, but this teaching actually comes from, I learned this from Sienna Sherman, okay, is that your greatest gifts are in your shadow. And what they're being guarded by are all of the traumas and all of the things that are protecting the great gifts of your life. So that deep intimacy that you might want, that connecting deeper with your partner, that accessing and sharing your voice with the world, that confidence in yourself, that living into the body that you know is yours, that becoming your authentic self, that whatever it is for you, your relationship with money. These things are being guarded in your shadow. And when we get to know the shadow, then we get to go in and get the treasure. So your greatest gifts are in your shadow. The metaphor that Sienna Sherman gives so much is that every mythological story, for example, most all stories, and even like your favorite Disney and Pixar movies, okay, they have the story of the mythological dragon that is guarding the cave. And inside the cave are all the greatest gifts, the treasure, the jewel of life. And so in all the stories, all the great epics, people try to get into the cave to get the treasure. Okay? And so what happens is, first, people try to sneak past the dragon that's guarding the cave. That never works. Sneaking past the dragon never works in any story. They tried to outsmart the dragon. That never ends well. They try to slay and kill the dragon. That don't work either. Who is the one? Who is the one that gets to enjoy the treasures of the cave? It is always the one who befriends the dragon. It is always the one who befriends the dragon. So type some ones into the chat box if you have seen the movie Moana. I just want some ones in the chat box if you've seen that movie. It's one of the Disney Pixar movies that was really popular in the last couple of years. And so what happens in Moana, right, is this darkness, this shadow, starts to take over all of the Hawaiian Islands. And it's killing everything. And life almost becomes unsustainable. And at first it gets ignored, right? So this is what we do when toxicity comes up into our lives. We ignore it. Oop, no, that's not happening. We ignore it. And then it gets so bad that it's seeping out into all of these places in our lives that it doesn't belong. And then we can't ignore it anymore. And we don't know what to do. And it's taking over. And sometimes we get crushed by it. So what happens in the movie Moana is they call on the great warrior Maui to go and slay Te Fiti, to defeat Taka, this big monster, Taka, that is sending all this darkness into the Hawaiian Islands. And so they send the great warrior to go defeat, and there's a lot of fear and joy and funniness in there. But I need you all to remember how justice and health and life gets restored to the Hawaiian Islands. Little Moana, the little child who represents the inner child self, has to walk straight up to the monster, straight up to the biggest demon, darkest, scariest monster. Put her hand right in to restore her heart, hand right over the heart, look her in her eyes, and the words that Moana says are, "You know who you truly are." And with great love in the heart, Taka becomes Te Fiti, and the Hawaiian Islands become restored. Again, they become integrated, not by defeating the darkness, but by befriending the darkness. And so this is how working with our shadow allows us to not try to get rid of it, because you're not going to get rid of it, to befriend it so that you can be in relationship with it, so you can know what your shadow's choices are and what happens inside of your shadow. And that is how you start to free yourself in your life. And I see so much of what you were typing in here. Sandlot. Yeah, befriending the dragon. Here we go. This is great. Yeah, the Church of Moana. And if any of you can think of any other movies, Shrek is a good reference for this. But if any of you can think of any other films, type them into the chat box. You can see a lot of the great, epics follow this narrative of befriending the dragon, all the way down to Moana being the child self who defeats it or who befriends it, right? And so getting to know and building the confidence and strength in our inner child. Okay, Alan, beautiful. I love this, Alan. I am one with you. Thank you. So, all of that being said, okay, you have a shadow. Your shadow are the things in your life that are out of your field of awareness. Doing shadow work is the willingness, the conscious choice to show up, to befriend and get to know your shadow. Why? So that you can learn who is making the choices for you in your life. Is it you, or is it your conditioning? And so what we're looking for in our shadow is not our trauma necessarily, is not our pain, is not our emotions. We're looking for our conditioning. Our conditioning. I need everybody to type that in. Okay? So, conditioning, if I can just describe this to you, all conditioning isn't bad. Conditioning is the programming that is inside of us that causes us to be, become, and make the choices that we make in our lives. And all conditioning isn't bad. But the conditioning that is harmful to us is the conditioning that is causing us to make choices in our lives that are out of alignment with what we want. So we say we want this, but we do something else. We do something to sabotage it. We say we want a relationship, we say we want whatever it is, and then the actions that we take, whether it's subconscious, conscious, whether we recognize it or not, lead us in another direction. Okay, so all conditioning is not bad. Some conditioning is great for us, like the conditioning that some of us are conditioned to be open emotionally. Some of us are conditioned to lead with our heart. Some of us are conditioned to be hard workers or make lists or keep a clean house. So like all conditioning is not bad. The conditioning that is bad is a conditioning that is making choices for us in our lives and we don't realize it. Okay? So the way I want you to think about this is by looking at this picture. So I just want you to take this in for a second. Take this photo in. So as you see, there's a cow. And the cow has a choice to make, right? And is wondering, do I go left or do I go right? What choice do I make? And this is what we do in our own lives. Do I go left or do I go right? No matter what the cow chooses, it's going to the slaughterhouse. And so the lesson here is in this image is unless we change the condition altogether, we are always going to have the same outcome. If the conditioning of your life is I am not enough, if the conditioning of your life is I am not worthy, if the conditioning of your life is whatever it is for yourself, it doesn't matter if you choose left or right. Because you are going to end up in the same spot either way. And so what we have to look for is the hidden condition that we have placed in our own lives that causes us to keep having the same results again and again and again and again and again and again, and you get the point. And so the way that we know our shadow is in control is when we're doing the work on ourselves. We're reading the books. We're listening to the podcasts. We're going to therapy. We're doing the things that we think we need to do to change. And we keep getting the same outcome, or the same outcome that's just slightly different. If that keeps happening, you know that's a cue, that's a flag waving itself in the sky for you that is saying, hey, something is in your shadow that you're not seeing. Something is making the choices for you that you're not recognizing. And so the first cue, okay, I'm going to give you all a few cues here. The first cue is when you're doing the action, you're doing the light work, you're trying to change, and somehow you keep getting the same results. And so an example that I like to give that I think many of us can relate to in one way or another is how many of us have been in a romantic relationship, or it can even be a friendship, whether it's romantic or not. We decided to get out of that relationship because we realized it wasn't good for us anymore. This is not a good relationship for me. I'm out of it. Then got into an entirely new relationship with a whole new person and soon realized you're in the same damn relationship. Same relationship, same problems, same issues, same stuff. And then we're in therapy like, why does the universe always bring me people like this? And it can even be friendships, right? Why is I always, and then you blame it on your astrology and your human design. Oh, because I'm just like this and I always get people like this. No. Your astrology and your human design isn't here to trap you into a circumstance that you don't want. It's here to help you break free so you can see the hidden conditions and help you break free to live the life that you want. It's here to help you, not to cage you in. And so I believe I follow all these methodologies, right? Shadow work, human design, this and that. And some people use them as like this kind of block of the reason why the universe is giving you what it's giving you. No. The reason why the universe keeps giving you what it's giving you is because there's something in your shadow that continues to make the choice to get what you're getting, to get what you got. You're the one getting what you got, right? And I say this with great love. We've all been there. We've all been there. And some people will ask, does therapy include shadow work? I'll say the best therapy does. And the reason why, actually, I won't get into that because this will be complicated for y'all. But I'm going to say this, okay? We're looking for the conditioning that is doing the choice making in our lives for us without us recognizing it. I'm going to say it again. When we do shadow work, We're looking for the conditioning that is doing the choice making in our lives without us recognizing it. Okay? So I will give you an example. And I'll say this first too, because I think this will be helpful. Shadow work, all right? Shadow work. People think, so I like you to think about yourself in your life. We think that we're free. We think we have free will. We think we're making free choices. But when we're not doing shadow work, what it's like is being a marionette puppet with the invisible strings hanging from us. And we have the marionette puppet and we think we're making free choices, but really there's this puppet master that's making all of our choices for us. Doing shadow work is not cutting the strings. Doing shadow work is getting to know the puppet master. Doing shadow work is not cutting the strings. Doing shadow work is getting to know the puppet master, is befriending the puppet master, is becoming in relationship with the puppet master. So you can start making integrated actions. All right? So this is the key. All right? This is the key. And the reason why I see it as so important, and I've worked with 40,000 people in 40 countries around the world, okay, is how many of us have been in therapy 10 years, 15 years, and we've worked on some stuff, but a lot can be exactly the same. When we're not doing shadow work, and I'm not knocking therapy, I love therapy, I'm in therapy. The reason why shadow work is so important is because then you learn what's out of your awareness so you can bring it to therapy. Otherwise, we're just bringing the symptoms to therapy, not the root cause. And if we just keep bringing symptoms, they're just going to keep coming. And then you'll work on it, and then you'll figure it out, and then you'll go to your inner child, and then you'll figure out why your parents did this. Oh, again, back to that story again. Okay, healed, integrated. Oh, here it comes again. Because we haven't befriended the puppet master. Now, I'm not saying this method is the only way. I'm just saying it's the method that I have seen that works. And when you do shadow work, you bring it to your different forms of therapy that help you continue to deepen your experience of your life. So you can bring what's out of your field of awareness. Okay? So coming back to the root, and then we're going to get into a practice, is we're looking for the conditioning in our lives that are making choices for us without us knowing it. Okay? Doing shadow work, and Colleen typed it in here perfectly, is not cutting the strings, it's befriending the puppet master. Unless we change the condition, going back to this image, we'll always have the same outcome. And so an example that I'll give you, if you see this left and right thing, okay? A condition in my life that I grew up with, that was conditioned into me, was having to choose between doing something practical, my practical work, started all the way young as a kid, getting good grades, doing good at school, getting a scholarship, going to college, and my music and art. These were always in competition. This is a marker. These are always in competition. So my condition said my practical work and my music work were competing for time. I didn't have time to do both. I always had to choose between one or the other. And as a kid, growing up in a rough environment, I grew up in, a town that had a lot of benefits, but also a lot of trauma. There were literally gunshot holes on the outside of my house, which many of you know. And so growing up in that kind of environment, the music took the back seat because I needed to do, my mind told me, my conditioning told me, society told me, my family told me, right? Even if it wasn't directly, explicitly said, it was what was celebrated, was get good grades, go to college, make a lot of money, be really smart. Okay? So that's being praised in the family. Do something practical, and not seeing anybody in the family who is, doing anything artistic or creative professionally. So I built this conditioning up. Music comes second. Creative work my practical work is more important. So throughout my life as a kid, I'm just giving you this example so you can see how it works in your own life. Throughout my life, I gave up music for a while. And then what happened is I had this awakening. Oh my God, right? Y'all, many of you have heard the story about my grandmother. Some of you haven't heard this story, but it's okay. I had this awakening where I realized I had put my dream away. How is it that I stopped doing music? And so I made this choice. I said, I'm now gonna do music. So what I did was, instead of going left, which was my practical work, I said, no, I'm gonna go right now. And so I swung the pendulum to music. And I, for a few years, basically quit my teaching work, quit my work as a leader and a teacher. So then what happened is I go and do music, I go to the right, and I end up in a place where I ended up spending all my money that I had made, got depressed because things weren't working out the way that I wanted them to be, spent up all the money, and then what ended up happening? I had to swing back to teaching again because I was broke. Because music had drained all my money, even though it was fun. Okay, so what most people think is happening is, oh, I recognize that I had this childhood trauma. Okay, these are the puppet strings. I recognize that I have this childhood trauma of not being allowed to go after my purpose. And so now I have done the practices and the rituals, and I'm going to now go after my purpose. That's this. Because until I can heal and integrate and recognize that the issue isn't doing music or doing something practical. The issue is that I am having an either or that is pitting these things against each other. And so whether I choose music or choose something practical, I'm still in the same cycle. Same cycle of back and forth, and they're battling each other for my time. As soon as I healed that and became aware of that condition that was in the shadow, that condition that I kept playing out, either or, they're battling each other, one or the other, it's just a constant battle. As soon as I healed that and recognized that that was what was the root cause, then I started asking a different question. What would it feel like to choose both? I had never really done that. I always said one or the other. And even when I was doing both at the same time, they would be battling in my head. Oh, do I have time to practice? Or I don't have time. This is more important or that is more important. This is making money. This is not. What shifts when I integrate? Integration. What happens? What choice do I make if I choose both? Life shifts completely. Okay? And so this, now, I can say now, I am integrated. I've been integrated for the last several years. And my music has taken off in a way that it has never before. Because I've chosen both and saw how they can feed each other. So I'm giving you this personal story just so you can see that it happens to all of us. We all have a shadow. We all have a shadow, okay? So you have to look at the places in your life where you're doing this. So, all right, I'm giving you a few different flag wavings to recognize when you can recognize that something in your shadow is in control, all right? Yes, going beyond the binary, Meta Mikey. So let me get this clear, okay? The first flag that's waving that shows you that your shadow is in control is you're doing a bunch of work on yourself. You're trying to change. You're showing up. You're taking actions, but you keep getting the same thing. That's cue number one that your shadow is in control. Okay? Cue number two that your shadow is in control is that you have an either or in your mind. An either or. I can either have a healthy body or I can have a successful career. I can either have a great relationship or I can have a successful career. I can either have kids or I can have this. I can either do my creative art or I can make money. As soon as you notice that you've created an either or in your life, that's how you know your shadow is in charge, because it's not true. In some instances, in a time-bound state, it's true, but in general, it's not true. How do we know? Because there are other people who have both. And if it was true, it would be true for everybody, right? So for example, some people's conditioning says, I can either have a healthy body or I can be successful at work. And so you see some of these people who are really successful at work, but their health is going to shit. And the reason that they don't work out or the reason they don't eat healthy is because they're too busy and they don't have time. Okay. So some people do that, right? That's their either or. And then another person can have a different either or that says, well, I can't have children because I want to have a successful career. But they have a successful career and a healthy body. So they have a different either or, but have the same things this person wanted. Do you see what's happening, right? So as soon as you catch an either or and you integrate and ask yourself, how can I have both and? This is a way to start integrating the shadow and getting to know why it's coming in the first place. Okay, so I'm gonna give some examples. Okay, these are examples that come in our community a lot. And here I'm gonna say something to you all. What I'm talking about today is deep shit, okay? So if you're not getting all of it today, like you're not every single thing isn't landing, chill. Take what you can get versus getting stressed about what you're not getting. Everybody's gonna get these on a different level. Be okay with where you are. Just be okay where you are, okay? So here's the thing. Conditioning, for example, these may not be you, okay, but I'm just giving some examples. Choosing not to have children because you have a mother who sacrificed her passions to raise a family. So the reason you're choosing not to have kids, or you've decided not to have kids, is because your conditioning was with a mother who sacrificed all of her passions to raise a family, and you've said to yourself, I'm never gonna do that because I wanna make sure I have my passions. So now your shadow is choosing, not you. And you may still have the same outcome that you don't want kids, but maybe not. I've had many people in our community go, oh my God, I've always said I didn't want kids. And then in my vision, I keep seeing kids. And I'm recognizing the reason I didn't have kids has nothing to do with me not wanting kids. It's because I thought that if I had kids, I would have to give up this. And the reason I think that is because that's what was modeled to me or what society tells me. Right? So there's one. Right? Another example, always choosing to play small because, for example, you grew up the oldest in your family and had siblings who were jealous. And so you play small because you kind of had that older child syndrome and you shrink so that you don't make other people jealous. You don't celebrate yourself. You don't make it about you because you don't want other people to be jealous. Okay, so then what happens is you're in a job, you have a career, and everyone around you is getting the promotion, but you're not getting the promotion, and you can't figure out why you're not getting the promotion, but you don't want to make it all about you, so you keep playing small when it was just because of the conditioning that happened in your childhood that said, if you get big, people will be jealous. And so you play small. And the conditioning says, it's not safe for me to be big. But then what you want in your life is requiring of you or asking of you to be big. Okay? Or I'll give another example. Okay? Dating unavailable people because you had to hide your sexuality in the closet as a young adult. You were hiding in the closet as a young adult and you never were able to fully, as a kid, date. And so your conditioning says, I can't date somebody safe because I'm conditioned to only date something risky. My conditioning has conditioned me to only be with something risky. That's the only thing that I'm turned on by. Okay? And so then you grow up and you're in relationships and you keep meeting people, and the only people you're turned on by, or you get bored by the safe people and you're turned on by the people who are married or who, are risky or who are just unavailable. And it turns you on because you have to work for it. And that's what you had to do as a child. So there your conditioning can say a lot of things like, a relationship is not exciting to me unless I have to work for it. It can't be easy. And so any relationship you get in, if you don't have to work hard for it, if you don't have to prove yourself for it, then you're bored. So your conditioning can literally dictate who you're turned on by and who you're not turned on by. And it feels real. I'll give one more, okay? And again, I don't have any preferences around, well, I have my own personal preferences, but I have no judgment around this next thing that I'm going to say, okay? But another example that comes up, avoiding monogamy because you're afraid to be controlled. Because you're afraid of always having to get permission or tell somebody what you're doing. You don't want responsibility to have to be to just another person. So avoiding monogamy because of this. You're afraid to be in this way because when you grew up, you were a child and your parents were super controlling and always in your business and always had a lot to do. Or you were in a relationship in the past that was super controlling, that conditioned you to say that being with one person or having somebody all in your business is bad. And so now, instead of choosing the left choice, which is being with a monogamous partner, you choose the right choice, which is a polyamorous partner, and you're unhappy either way. Because what you're really fighting is control. Okay? Now again, everybody has their own preference around this. I'm not saying this is an example to say monogamy or polyamory is better or worse than another. I just want to be very clear. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying it's about who is choosing for you. Why is that choice being made? Period. Is it you or is it the puppet master? Let's practice. Let us do a practice. Y'all ready? Told you I wasn't playing with you today. And the thing is in this practice that we have to understand is, are you willing to let go of who you thought you were? This is a Michael Singer quote that I used a few weeks ago. Because who you thought you were is not who you are. Are you willing to let go of who you thought you were? Because who you thought you were is not who you are. I'm going to say that one more time to land it like a prayer. Are you willing to let go of who you thought you were? Because who you thought you were is not who you are. Let's practice together, everybody. So I'd like you to place your hands over the center of your chest, one over the other, and take a full, deep breath in and a deep breath out. Again, a deep, full breath in and a breath out. And if you're willing to close your eyes, I want to invite you to do so. If not, you can keep them open. And I want you to just imagine a future version of yourself who is living the life of your dreams. Everything is exactly as you've always wanted and dreamed of. And I want you to specifically focus towards a domain of your life that you're hoping to grow in or take to the next level. So for some of you, it'll be your art and creativity. Some of you, it'll be your body. Some of you, it'll be your money. Some of you, it'll be relationships. Some of you, it'll be your health, whatever it is, your spiritual practices, your intuition, whatever it is for you, pick an area of life. And you'll probably have multiple, but just pick one. And as you pick an area of your life, I want you to imagine a future version of yourself in that domain of life who is living the life of your dreams. Everything is exactly as you could always want and dream of. Every circumstance is overcome. I want it to be like you could rub a magic lamp. Everything is possible. What do you notice about your life? If this vision came true, I would want it to feel like your life was a miracle. A miracle. What do you notice in this vision of your future self, even if it's fuzzy or blurry or incomplete? And then keeping this vision in mind, I'm going to ask you a few questions, and I want you to just see what arises in these questions in you. What emerges. And I'll ask the questions and give you a little bit of space. Because sometimes the first thing that comes up is just the surface. Give yourself a little time to get to know the dragon. Here's the question. As you look at this future version of yourself who's living the life of your dream in this domain of your life, what is an action or a choice in your life that you know you need to take, but you're avoiding taking? What is an action or a choice in your life that you know you need to take, but that you're avoiding taking? See what arises. The second question, what is the story that you're telling yourself about why you cannot or should not make this choice? What is the story you're telling yourself about why you cannot or should not make this choice? And the next question, what that story says about what I'm afraid of is. What that story says about what I'm afraid of is. And then finally, so the real reason I'm not making this choice or taking this action is, you can fill in these blanks. So the real reason I'm not making this choice or taking these actions is. What's the real reason? What's underneath? What are you afraid of? What are you really afraid of? And then, to take us into a place of action, our final question. My next best action is. Fill in that blank. My next best action is. What's your next best action? Now just be with all that, and now I invite you to just hug yourself. Wrap your arms, if you're able, around yourself. give yourself a squeeze, and know that you are enough. You are worthy. You are ready. You do not have to be totally healed to step into the life of your dreams. You deserve this life, and you are enough. And please just be tender with yourself, because when we go into the shadow, it can bring up some fear. It could make us have regret or beat ourselves up. But what you need to know is that every moment is a new moment. And in this moment, right now, if you just take one little step, then all you got to do is say yes. With love and compassion and kindness to yourself, just like you were that little child, because there is a little child in there inside of you. And so treat them with love. Be kind to yourself. Be kind to yourself. Be kind to yourself. You are enough. All right, take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. And when you're ready, I invite you to open your eyes. Welcome to shadow work. This is the power of what is inside of us. And what I want you all to know is that, and I see you all in the chat box, it's beautiful. So just take a moment and be with that, because there can be a lot that comes up. And what you have to know is that you have the answers inside of yourself. And so feel free to share anything in the chat that's coming up for you about this. And know that this community is here supporting you. We're standing by you. And so I hope you all, we're not quite done yet, but I hope you all come to Soul Study this week. Because at Soul Study, you're going to be led through some of these practices and have the opportunity to talk in community and be with each other, okay? In Soul Study, to be with people who are like you, who get this and can help hold you accountable and keep you in on the journey. So again, for those of you who want to join Soul Study, it's free always. It's on Wednesday night. It's on Zoom. The community comes together and you can be there for that. So in closing, as we do, everybody, I want to just give you an invitation to get a clear takeaway from this. All right? So go ahead and place one hand over your heart, the other hand on top of that. Close your eyes for just a quick moment. Take a deep breath in and out. And we end each of our kingdom sessions this way. What is one golden nugget, one key takeaway that you want to take away from this session today? If there was one thing that you could remember from everything we learned today, what would that one thing be? And then open your eyes and type that into the chat box so we can see this cascade of golden nuggets. And I just want to say that my golden nugget is always this teaching from Sienna Sherman, that our greatest gifts are in our shadow. The reason we go into the shadow is to unlock the life that we most desire. It's not just to dig in the mess. It's to unlock the life that we desire. And that's because that treasure is being protected as it should be. Because maybe it wasn't treated well before. Maybe it was harmed, so it had to get dragons to protect it. But now here you are, ready to befriend the dragon and ready to soar. And we get to do it together. So I love all of your examples or your golden nuggets coming in. You are enough. I am enough. Sarah, Kate, working with the shadow. Marcus, I am worthy. Emma, I'm not who I think I was. Colleen, with love, thank you. Kelsey, who I thought I was is not who I am. Mariana, integration is possible. Alonzo, I don't have to be fully healed to live my dream. Michelle, that I could befriend my shadow. Jemima, our greatest gifts are in our shadow, and shadow work is not cutting the strings, it's befriending the puppet master. Colleen, do not ever compromise yourself for your principles. Be aware of your either ors. Integration is possible, Kelly, and I deserve the life I desire. You are enough, you are worthy. I love all of you, and this is the power of your shadow. This is the kingdom where we come together, we rise together, and I'll close out with a prayer and a closing song. God, Spirit, Universe, all that is, all that ever has been, and all that ever will be, we thank you. Thank you for bringing this community together in a space of love. Thank you for giving us the flashlights we need to go into the dark cave of our shadow, to excavate, to find that treasure, to befriend the puppet master, and to step into the jewels that you have given us for this life. May we all spread our light. May we shine bright like diamonds. May we be the unique gem and gemstone and jewel that we were meant to be on this planet. May we claim our power, and thank you for bringing us together to do that, to remind us of the truth of who it is that we really are here and now at the kingdom. We thank you. We bless each other, and we are grateful. So it is. Ashe, Aho, Salam. Amen. Shalom. Satnam Awen Om. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Great Spirit. And this is my new guitar. I hope you all like it. I got it made in Bali. And we have a Bali retreat coming up. If y'all go to my website, you will see it. We have a Bali retreat coming up in October that I hope you'll come to. We'll be digging into a lot of this stuff, a lot more deeply. You can go to my website for that. And Danica, please email us and we will take care of you to make sure that you get into the soul study. All right? Everybody, we're closing out with just the chorus, our little moment of Stand By Me. So now you see how this ties in together with the darkness. When the land is dark, when the night has come and the land is dark and the moon is the only light we'll see, I won't be afraid because we can dive into the shadow together. I'm sorry, y'all. I forgot to give you the book recommendation. I promise I'll do that after the song. I'll give you my favorite book to read on this, okay? But for now, just sing along with me. So darling, darling, stand by me. Oh, stand by me. Oh, stand by me. Stand by me. So I want you to sing one with your hands over your heart, and you can sing it like a prayer to yourself. You can even whisper it to yourself. We'll do it nice and tender, okay? We'll do it nice and tender for each other. You ready? Like a prayer. So darling, darling, stand by me. Oh, stand by me. Oh, stand by me. Stand by me. I love you all. We rise together. And this is my favorite book on shadow work. It's by Robert Augustus Masters, called Bringing Your Shadow Out of the Dark. And so you can enjoy that book. He also has audio courses and groups, co-ed groups, men's groups, women's groups for people of all genders, and personal work that is helped me dramatically in my life. But this book and his courses are a good way to start. All right, everybody. I love you dearly. I'll see you in 2 weeks at the next kingdom, where we have a very special guest coming for the next session. And I hope you all enjoy the community connection in soul study. I love you dearly, and we rise together. Bye for now, everybody.